What's up, everybody? Welcome to the debut episode of New York State Music in Motion. I'm your host, Frank Palangi. Today, we're sponsored by the Helpin' Friendly Salve, which is basically natural hemp seed oil, good for topicals and treatments. Shout out to some of my endorser for Cat Audio here for hooking me up with a pair of headphones and Dirtbag Clothing. And, of course, Sweetwater Sound. Love them. And head over to NewYorkStateMusic.com, all right? NYSmusic.com. Got it? All right, today we got in the building Mick Fury. All right, going on here. What's going on, man?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Good. You are a New York / Nashville. I just describe you as rock, Americana, country, and a little bit of something else.
Sure. Just basically confused is what I am. I got all those things happening. Just mix them all together and take a shot of it. That's how we're doing it.
Pot going on. We got Halloween around the corner, so we'll just keep going.
Exactly.
Cool, man. So what's been going on?
Well, I mean, yeah, for the most part, just trying to deal with this crazy pandemic, right? So just been in Nashville and not playing too many shows, but writing songs and coming out with some new stuff and working on videos and documentaries and whatever the heck I can get my hands on. So it's been,
right.
It's been weird, but it's been good.
Yeah, you got to keep busy during this time, We can't go stir crazy.
That's really the key. Yeah, I mean, I was talking to my in-laws about this recently, but one kind of nice thing about Nashville is I'm surrounded by everybody who's kind of all going through the same thing. So we can kind of, social distancely, have a drink, commiserate about it, try to figure out what the next move is. So,
yeah,
I mean, you hate to put a positive spin on what's going on, but it does give you a chance to sort of reflect on what's happening and maybe where you want to go when the world hopefully gets back to normal. So,
yeah. When did you move to Nashville?
We've lived there now for about 6 years.
Okay. It seems like everybody's going there now. Everybody that I know is there.
Sure. Yeah, for better or for worse. I mean, it's a wonderful, wonderful place to be, but of course, once you import every single musician on the planet into Nashville, it's a little crowded. So there's pros and cons. Certainly pros and cons to be in a place like Nashville, but I mean, overall, I love it for sure.
I was there in 2010 and 11, and it probably wasn't like it is now,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, yes, we moved 2013 or 14, and the city doesn't even look the same since we've moved there. So it's pretty wild. It's quite a difference coming from a place like Syracuse, which has been sort of fighting its way out of economic recession for a while. Moving to a town that's booming out of control is quite a juxtaposition there. But it's been a great thing to see.
Yeah, I've been to Syracuse a couple times. We played like some conference a couple years ago and stuff. And isn't Funkin' Waffles is there, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably my favorite club in Central New York. It's run by a friend of mine, Adam Gold, and it's just great sound, great people, great times. That's definitely the spot to hit.
We're interviewing Charlie here next. Charlie Orlando.
Charlie's the best. He books me over there, so he's the best.
Okay, nice. So being in Nashville, you got studios everywhere and stuff like that. With your new songs, do you record them yourself? Do you go to the studios? Do you work with a few people?
Sure. So I guess kind of a combination of a couple of those. So not really going to big studios right now, obviously with, trying to do social distance and everything. So I'm kind of trying to develop my own production skills, which has been a rocky road, but I'm going to produce my next stuff with the help of actually a couple of other ex-upstate New Yorkers, Max McKee and my friend Nate Felty, who have both lived in Nashville for 7-8 years. So, we'll throw on masks and we'll do drums and bass together, and then I'll go home and do my, vocals. And then I often send my stuff back up to Central New York. There's a studio in town called More Sound Studio that's run by a really good friend of mine named Jocko. And one of the guys that works there, Andrew Greason, tends to mix my stuff. So I keep it, there's some Nashville portions, there's some upstate New York portions. So the marriage is ongoing, I guess.
That's the best. Yeah.
It is. You kind of find the coolest people in each place and make it happen. So
yeah, I mean, and especially with the COVID stuff going on, that works. It's you can't do much else, so it's like but it's honestly it's more cost effective too. I mean, it's to rent a studio out for a week or something like that, or even a couple days.
Insane.
Yeah, it's murder.
The prices are outrageous. I mean, and justifiably so. Those guys have hundreds of thousands of dollars of unbelievable equipment in those places, and certainly would love a chance to use them. But we're gonna come up here in a couple of weeks. We're doing drums at a studio down there called Mary Jo Studios, I believe is the name. Might have that slightly wrong.
Okay.
But we can only really afford to rent it for a day, get the drums, then we go home and we kind of do the rest ourselves. So it's a kind of a whole new world.
I was there at Soundstage Studios. I don't know if that's still there. It's on the corner near the hotel there.
Yeah, I think I know where that is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's still up and running. So there's Blackbird Studio. There's a ton of fabulous studios in Nashville for sure.
Nice. So you were on something called Front Porch of America, I've heard. Did pretty well on got picked up on Roku or something.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of a crazy project we did for so I did an album, gosh, I guess it's been a little over a year now, I think, called The Front Porch of America, and I had sort of this wild idea. The Front Porch of America song per se is sort of about the divide that we see in America, and is there a way for us to kind of push past it and heal it?
Yeah.
And so I got a hold of a cinematographer friend of mine, also from upstate New York, now lives in Florida, Terry Little. And I said, I got a crazy idea. I want to drive all around America and sit on people's front porches, have a beer with them, a whiskey, a coffee, whatever, and just talk about what's going on out there. Talk about what they see literally from their front porch, which obviously everybody's front porch is different, and what they see sort of metaphorically happening in our country. So
yeah,
gosh, we took off from Nashville. We drove up to DC, New York City, back through upstate New York. We stopped at Standing Rock. We talked to an Indian chief elder there. Out to a pot farm in Oregon. Talked to an actor in LA, a health coach in Denver. So we did a big 9,000-mile ring in 2 weeks' time. Damn. And just got some really, really awesome perspectives from, like I said, one person was an actor. There was a health coach. There was someone involved in
different
native
sides
affairs.
Of all the coins there.
Yeah, we had an ER doctor in Detroit. What was his experience like? A comedian in DC. So just kind of a lot of different people. And just really fascinating to see what's actually happening. Let's cut through the media crap and let's just talk to the people and see what's actually happening out there. So yeah, pretty wonderful thing. We turned into a documentary, which is on YouTube. You can check out. And along the route, we recorded 8 music videos for 8 new songs that were on the album at the time. So yeah, just a really wonderful experience that I never saw myself doing ever. Really never imagined doing something like that. So.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. Getting the true views of America,
For sure, yeah. I mean, for sure, and just to see if a guy that I basically make my living playing bars and playing theaters and playing little venues. Could a guy like me and a videographer friend of mine and my buddy Adam, could we do a documentary? Like, can 3 guys with no income really do a documentary? And we made it happen. And we kind of talk about that through the process. Here's, how did we drive that far? Well, we're just, all 3 of us was rotating driving schedule nonstop. So we're doing 9,000 miles in 2 weeks. So that's like 600 miles a day or something.
Yeah,
so,
that's crazy.
With
one car?
Eating it with one truck. Yeah, just stopping at Chipotle or whatever, you get a quick bite to eat. And
yeah,
it was a battle, but it was great. It was really great to figure out how to put something like that together.
So you have, let's talk about your new songs here. I know you have 2 cover songs that you released. One of them, Killing in the Name of. I like that one.
Yeah, sure. Man, I'm always trying to look for cover songs that other people aren't doing, and it's a challenge because there's so many talented cover artists out there that are doing such a wide range of stuff now. So I was like, well, what's something I haven't seen? Maybe for a reason. I haven't seen somebody try to do solo acoustic. And I was like, I've always loved Killing in the Name of, always liked Rage Against the Machine. So I was like, let me see if I could sort of channel some of the anger that I've been feeling lately into a song that is just so perfectly built for that, as a vehicle for that.
And then you got What's Going On, which is the opposite,
Yeah, so actually that one, funny enough, we kind of stole that title. That's actually an original tune. I certainly love the Marvin Gaye version. But,
yeah, I know.
That's the song that we wrote. And
I had to sneak that in there.
It kind of, it does sort of borrow some themes for that. So that song is, it's sort of 3 little micro stories of people that I've known in my life that unfortunately I've sort of had a falling out with over just all the turmoil in the country right now. And the chorus is just kind of a reflection of like, man, why is everybody so angry? Why do we have to be so angry about this? Let's talk about it. We're all Americans. We're all going to find our way through to the other side. Yeah. It just takes people toning it down a little bit and just being decent to each other. So that's kind of the theme of that tune.
Is the country rock? I hear 90s too. I do hear. There was a singer in the 90s. I can't remember his name, but I seen you doing some covers at a bar with your band, and I was like,
okay.
I was like, dude, I go, the tone in that, but then your tone changes a little bit into your original style,
Yeah, I mean, it's I've had a lot of discussions about that with some of my fellow musicians about I kind of sing a lot of different ways, and I think that's because for a decade I've played bars, playing everything from Zac Brown to Rage Against the Machine to hip hop to all this different stuff. So you kind of learn to stretch and be flexible with your voice. So there's definitely 90s in there. I mean, that's what I grew up listening to was all that kind of stuff. I've played with a bunch of 90s bands that are kind of on their like round 3 washout tour, you know, Spin Doctors and
Yeah.
Vertical Horizon and all that. So, but yeah, I mean, I love the 90s. What I think is so cool about the 90s music, and I guess this kind of dates myself, but you could have, you know, NWA on the radio, then you could have Vertical Horizon, then you could have Nirvana, then you could have, you know, the end of like Guns N' Roses. So you could have all these
Yeah.
different sounds on the radio, and everyone was
Metallica
like,
still.
yeah, Metallica, Lisa Loeb, but like Sheryl Crow, so many variety of artists doing so many different things, and that's kind of inspired my style to be varied, to try, you know, to kind of push in all different directions. I feel like that makes artistry cool and fun, you know?
Yeah, and I think what helped that, which is not around today as much, is the movies, right? And the movies, they would feature those songs, especially horror movies, and they would
Yeah,
get really popular because they were in
sure.
movies. And they kind of I've noticed it with horror movies, especially in general. The themes aren't there anymore. Like when you watch Halloween, you know that's the music to Halloween.
Oh yeah,
You know what I
for
mean?
sure.
And so there's it's more of atmospheric and sounds, which is scary, but there's not an identifiable like this is Friday the 13th, this is the Nightmare on Elm Street tune, this is, you know.
Sure.
And a lot of that
Yeah, I
stuff,
mean,
believe it or not, guys, was not really planned out. You know,
yeah,
that was all low budget stuff. And
sure.
you know, Dokken, take Dokken, you know, that band.
Hmm.
I'm a big rock 80s rock guy. I love the 80s stuff.
Oh yeah.
I do love the
Yeah,
90s. But
nothing wrong with that either. But yeah, I mean, to your point, some of those movie soundtracks were just absolutely phenomenal. You know, I can think of a bunch that like you're saying, the song comes on, you right away, you know what movie it's going to be, you know what's about to happen, it sets the scene, and yeah, I miss that kind of stuff too. Now it doesn't seem like they've kind of go down that path anymore, which is too bad.
and I've read you've had a song in a movie.
I have, yeah. So if anybody remembers the Underworld movies with Kate Beckinsale, back when I was doing my
Yeah,
rock
I
band
do.
in Syracuse, yeah, Silent Fury, we had a song, Exit Wounds, that made it onto one of the soundtracks for one of those movies, which was just an awesome experience. It was I lived in LA when I was a little bit younger, pursuing rock music, and I'd made a connection out there that I
Oh, okay.
didn't think
So
anything
that
of.
was
It's kind of a
you. I know the song name. I know because I
oh
was a
yeah,
big soundtrack guy.
oh sure, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
That's me screaming in that song. And then
that's
what
cool.
was the neat what was the neat thing about that soundtrack is they had a bunch of like at the time, I don't know, it was 10 years ago or something. They had a bunch of guys that were like well-renowned remixers that would kind of remix songs. They wanted everything to sound real industrial. So
Yeah.
this guy Justin Lassen, who's kind of one of these producer genius kind of dudes, took it and remixed it into this like super industrial sounding, real spooky sounding song. So just a really cool thing to be a part of.
Nice. Did he have to take the stems and stuff to do that? Do you know, or did he take just the
Yeah, yeah,
song?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We had to give him the stems, and he chopped it all up. And I mean, honestly, the version he came up with, it doesn't sound anything like the original. But
Yeah.
that's what's really cool about it.
Yeah, they've done that with a lot. Even like Rob Zombie's style's kind of like that, but they've done that to his
Sure.
songs for movies, The Crow and
Oh yeah,
countless others. But even Metallica, there's one in the Spawn soundtrack with From Whom the Bell Tolls that probably
sure.
nobody's heard. It's not actually it's not that great, but it's interesting. You know, it's different.
I always love the movie Spawn, and I always like that song "For Whom the Bell Tolls." I gotta watch that again to catch that in there.
Yeah,
That's a cool thing.
it's cool. So I'm not exactly sure if it's in the movie, but it's definitely in the soundtrack. I remember.
Killer.
So who are some of your influences? I know you said 90s, but let's get into bands, artists.
Sure. So actually, my first concert ever, my dad was in a Southern rock band, and so he took me to the Great New York State Fair, and we saw Rusted Root open up for the Allman Brothers Band when I was like, I don't know, 4, 3, 5, some young kid. And I
Yeah.
think I actually fell asleep at the concert, but um, you know, just don't really know what's going on. But so for me, starting off, I started with kind of classic rock, probably some of the stuff you're talking about. I love the Allman Brothers. I love the Beatles. I loved, you know, 60s, 70s, 80s music was kind of what was always playing in my house. You know, Marshall Tucker,
I hear
Leonard
Johnny
Skinner, that kind of
Cash from
stuff.
you too, a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Johnny Cash. Got into that actually a little bit later in life. But yeah, so I kind of went through my like, I don't know, when you're like 10, 11, 12, listening to classic rock, then kind of get into the 90s. And then as
Yep.
time's gone on, you know, I find my influences now being like really quirky. It's like usually stuff that no one's heard of because you know, you listen to music all the time, you start to look for stuff that's like really weird or really different. But, you
Yeah.
know, kind of more in the mainstream. I've always liked Zach Brown. I like that he does a bunch of bunch of different genres, a bunch of really great songwriters. He's a fabulous singer. Big fan of Chris Stapleton. I love Sturgill Simpson is a guy I really look up to. You know, Jason Isbell. So guys that are doing something different, that aren't concerned about being corporate, aren't concerned about, you know, hey, this has to be on the radio. Just want to write a great song that means something. I love anybody doing that in any genre. I think that's great.
Yeah, it's more real, you know?
Totally. And yeah, I mean, those are the guys, I guess, nowadays that I listen to. And then, you know, like really, like I've listened to classical music lately. I don't know, just looking for something new. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Old and new at the same time, right?
Nice. Yeah. No, that's cool. Well, I mean, if you like the music or the movie stuff, you know, classical came from, you know, is definitely in that style. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. Sometimes I just, you know, I'm because of the pandemic, I take a lot of walks, right? So I'm listening to stuff all the time. So it's like, well, what haven't I listened to lately? Throw on a little bit of classical, and then I almost feel like I'm in a movie walking down the street. You know, it's kind of a fun little game
that's
to play.
cool. You put on, was it Chalk Outline from 3 Days Grace? Remember that song?
I don't know that one. No, I don't know that
the
one.
music video is him walking, literally one shot walking down the street. So that would be a good one to walk to.
Perfect. I'll try that. All right.
Like, I'm in the music video right now. Very cool. So, okay, I'm Italian, so I love food. Okay, and I hear I haven't seen any yet, but you have a cooking show. Where'd that idea come from?
You know, I'm Italian too. I'm actually staying with my in-laws who are even more Italian than me right now in Syracuse. And this morning, we actually just made homemade sausage. So they got the whole machine that grinds the meat, and we're spicing it. Everyone's yelling at each other. You got the spice mix wrong. You got the spice mix wrong. Anyways, we eventually agreed on a really fabulous sausage. And then actually another reason we're in upstate New York right now is my father-in-law makes his own homemade wine, and he's been kind of teaching me over the years to make it. So we're going to get, I think we bought something like 350 pounds of grapes, and we're going to crush all the grapes this weekend and destem them and get them fermenting. So that's I love doing that kind of stuff. I love the kitchen. I love cooking. I'm super passionate about food. So I think just that passion sort of obviously running parallel with music passion. And then, you know, we write a lot of tunes in Nashville, and a lot of times I'll write a song and I go, man, that's a great song. It's probably not right for my project, but man, I love this song. And I have a songwriting partner down there. His name is Adam James D. Bolt. He's actually also from Albion, New York, which is kind of between Rochester and Buffalo.
Yeah.
And we get together, we'll drink a bunch of espresso and write tunes, or have a bunch of whiskey and write tunes. And we've done this, you know, for a couple years in Nashville, and we've come up with all these really great songs. So I was like, you know, these don't fit for my project, but I love cooking and I love these songs. What if we do a cooking show where I teach people how to make one of my favorite recipes, which is this really cool taco recipe. And then we'll do like dinner and a movie. Like we'll be cooking and then we'll play a song, and then we'll eat and then we'll play a song. We'll have some, you know, tequila and we'll play a song. So that was where that idea came from. And we put it out 6-7 months ago, and it's gotten really good reviews, and hopefully going forwards I can do it again with some other songwriter friends and teach another recipe. I'm so passionate about cooking. I want people to not be scared of the kitchen and just get in there, and man,
I think it's an Italian thing, you know.
It is an Italian thing, but man, I want it to be an everybody thing, because I've learned so much from being in the kitchen. Like from your failures to your successes, you just learn so much about yourself and your temperament, for sure. I mean, I've thrown a lot of things go wrong, so it's just
is that like for you another creative outlet, you think? Because
totally.
It is kind of being creative. I kind of hated to cook for a while. Now I'm getting into it a little bit over the past maybe 3 years.
100%. And again, especially with what's going on right now, I haven't had as many chances to be creative in public. So for me, it's like, well, you know, what can I do at home? And food is a way for me to express my creativity. I've started working on a book just for something to do. I'm working on a kid's book. I have a lot of creative energy, and if it doesn't get out, it drives me insane, drives my wife insane. So it's like, she's like, shut up with everything you're talking about and go make something. So oftentimes that's dinner, you know?
Yeah. I know the feeling. There was a point, especially through COVID, I got some type of flu, and it was a respiratory thing, and I couldn't sing for 3 months. I mean, there was 2 days where it cleared up, and I go, all of a sudden I could sing. So I made these 4 videos called the COVID Originals. I threw them on there. And the next day, guess what? It came back, and I couldn't sing for another month. But I felt that what you just said. And it's like James from Metallica described it as his wife or something. He's like, she goes, you're getting a little aggressive or something lately. She goes, go pick up the guitar and write something. And he's like,
Sure.
yeah, so there's something about it. I think if you're really creative, it's almost like it has to come out in some way.
It does.
We can't
It
hold
does
it
have to
back for
come
so
out.
long. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I totally do. And I've had, I'm very fortunate now. I've been with my wife for, geez, I think we're coming up on 8 years. But before that, I had quite a run of, I don't want to say the women were all crazy. I was crazy too, but a lot of crazy women in my life. And
Crazy
through
exes.
yes, I'm sure I'm their crazy ex too. So, but you go through relationships like that, and if you don't, maybe at times I didn't have someone to talk to, but I always had my guitar, and I always had songs to write, and I always had a way to express myself, just to kind of keep myself level, not go too far one way or the other. So music has definitely been therapeutic. Probably saved my life a few times.
Yeah, because I realize too with all the social media that it's kind of like when we go to write or record, or I mix a lot now, I do a lot of productions. You're
Cool.
not online during that part, and it's kind of
Right.
hard to go back and forth between messages and stuff, and you lose your focus and all that. So it's almost old school of, I hate to say it, but if I wasn't in this, I wouldn't use social media that much. I
I feel exactly the
really,
same way.
yeah,
My wife and I talk about that a lot. Just I know it's kind of cool these days to shit on social media, but I guess I'm also in that camp where it's like, man, I love just like a nice glass of wine and a 2 hour conversation by a fire and no one checks their phone. Or, I
yeah,
love going into the studio and it's like, you know what, turn your phones off. Cause like this is so much more important than however many likes you just got on Facebook. So I'm in the
yeah.
same boat, man. If I wasn't doing music, I would turn off social media and, maybe once a month, make sure my friends are still alive and doing okay and then go right back off again.
Yeah, check
So
chicken every once in a while. Yep.
yeah,
It's like when you got to rest or something like that. You're gonna rest for 20 minutes. You're not gonna rest and have your phone on and scroll the whole. That's not resting.
totally.
You got to literally
No.
just stare at the ceiling, close your eyes, whatever,
Yeah.
and
And
get your energy back.
we've gotten a lot into my wife and I. She likes yoga, and we've gotten a bunch into meditating, and just that moment of peace it's so different than hey, I'm gonna lay on the bed and play on my phone is a lot different feeling than I'm just gonna sit with myself for 20 minutes here and like actually collect my thoughts. And I think it's important. I wish more people would do it because getting back to what we talked about before, I think a lot of the anger and a lot of the hate would be tamped down if people were just I sound like a ridiculous guru right now, but if people were just a little bit more at peace with themselves and a little
Yeah,
calmer, had a little
yeah,
better understanding of themselves, we could avoid a lot of the trouble that we're in.
yeah. Some of that is well, a couple of different reasons, but there's actually certain chemicals, body chemicals I learned that when you're on the phone and social media, you release a lot because it's a feeling of
Sure,
new. There's actually a
sure.
chemical, and
Yeah,
they were saying
dopamine or whatever.
a lot of young kids and stuff because they're always getting that. The side effect of that is kind of however they act
Sure.
nowadays. You know what I mean? I mean, we're still
Totally.
young, but you know what I mean? Like, we're talking about, teenagers. Not a teenager
Yeah, I mean,
anymore.
I don't know how much to read into it, but I mean, I know growing up, they always told us that all the video games that I played were going to rot my brain, and
Yeah. They did a little bit. Maybe
I
a
guess
little
it
bit.
probably did. Yeah, I guess it probably did.
Yeah, same with me.
Right.
But hey, what are you gonna do?
Sure.
So coming from, like lyric sense, is there certain subjects that you always cater to that you like to go to? Or do you like to like I kind of pinpoint and I kind of hover around it, I don't go too far this way or this way.
Okay. Um, you know, so a big thing that's really pushed in Nashville is to like have the diversity to write a bunch of different stuff, right? And so since we do a lot of co-writing in Nashville, what's great about that is that you might, I have a friend Sierra, for instance, my friend Sierra Ray that I write with a bunch. She'll come in and a lot of times she's in the mood to write a love song. Maybe something's going on in her life and that's the mood she's in.
Yeah.
My buddy Sean Patrick McGraw, also from the Buffalo Dunkirk area, a lot of times he's been keeping up with the news and he's like, we need a song about like this exact moment in time that we have to kind of hit. So I think I pinball around a lot. I don't know how to say this without being pretentious, but for me, love songs are great. Listen, there's always going to be a place for love songs. There's always going to be people that need to hear them, and I'm glad that people can write them. I'm just at a little different stage in my career where the things that strike me heavy now are big problems going on in the world where it's like I can't get away from climate
Yeah.
change or I
Yeah.
can't get away from the turmoil in America. So when I sit down, those things are on my mind and they're weighing on me. And I tend to like songs now that sort of attack those issues and maybe offer people a new perspective on them. That you could talk to somebody for hours about a topic, you could yell at them, you could argue with them, never breaks through. You could write a great song and it might just touch them just enough to be like, you know what, maybe it is time for a change. So I guess lately I've just gravitated maybe more towards heavier issues, I guess you might say, or
stuff that just lingers in their brain, issues. Starts to get thinking.
And I'm so glad for people out there that can write love songs or can write drinking songs or can write songs about every day, because that's a good relief for me. It's like, hey man, my brain is too heavy right now. I need to go chill out with like a cool love song. But I do think that there is a need for artists that are tackling some of these social issues we're facing. And so I guess that's kind of where I land these days. Is I have a strong glass of whiskey and I try to change the world.
Yeah, well, I view too, like the love songs, it's more of a a single thing. If you're single, you go through it. You go through the heartache, you go through the games, or if something happens in your life, that sort of thing. But I can imagine. I mean, I've never been married, but I can imagine that after a while, you're not gonna sing about the breakup song and all that kind of stuff. It's not there anymore. You know what I mean?
You might be surprised.
Well, you can. For me, it's like if I worked with somebody else, I would work on a song that has nothing to do with my style, and could write that way. But I'm talking more like you personally, that sort of thing. And the same thing with me. It's kind of the same boat where I'm definitely heading towards kind of what you're saying is some bigger subjects in a way.
Yeah. I mean, listen, there's so much out there to sing about and to think about, and so many bigger questions that are just rarely tackled in songs. And again, maybe there's a reason for that, because I think they're difficult, and they're difficult to do well without preaching at people, which nobody wants. So I mean, I've traveled through this music thing for long enough that it's like, this is just where I've landed right now. And we might do this interview a year from now, and I'm like, listen, I'm writing all songs about walking on the beach naked. That's just my new thing. That's all I do. Like, it's just a journey.
Floating in the moon, or I want to be the first person to land on the moon again.
For sure. Yeah, I'm going back. I'll take that first flight.
I'm going back, everybody. I was watching a thing. They're like, rich people, they think it's so easy just to fly to the moon because they have all the seat tickets for some fake flight,
Oh God.
It's like, I would never.
Maybe Elon Musk will help us to get cheap flights to the moon. I would go.
I would maybe. I would be like, all those people that you see going up there, say bye-bye. You never see them again.
Yeah. Never know, I guess, right?
I don't know. But I appreciate coming on here, New York State Music in Motion today. This is the debut episode, so you're number one, man.
I'm super stoked to be a part of it. It's awesome.
We got Italian to Italian.
That's right.
I'm digging the longer hair too. The shorter hair, you look like kind of Sully from Godsmack.
Okay, well that's not a terrible guy to look like. Yeah, this is really just the COVID hair, right? Like I feel like I'm in the. If you're a sports fan, and when guys go to the postseason in baseball, they like don't shave their beard until they get knocked out of the postseason.
Yeah,
so I'm doing the don't cut your hair until we get knocked out of COVID thing. That's
the cool phase, though. I just got my hair cut. I was like that. It was pretty long, but I got it cut. And
this is an unruly beast. My wife yells at me for it every single day. She's like, "Let me cut it." I'm like, "No, I'm gonna keep it going. Let's see what happens."
My rocker side. No.
That's right.
That's cool. Yeah. Cool. So everybody, so all your songs are on iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, Pandora Radio. You got your own YouTube channel. You're still on Roku.
All that good stuff. Yeah, I mean, I guess if people wanted to follow me, Spotify is certainly kind of the best place to start. Mick Fury, easy to find on there. And then, the YouTube page, if you want to check out the documentary, there's, like you mentioned, the cooking shows on there, bunch of music videos, bunch of live performances, some stuff with my band that's really cool. And then, of course, all the social media, Mick Fury on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and then my website, mickfury.com. So I'm pretty easy to find if people like to, and I'd love to connect. Hey, I watch your cooking show and your recipe sucks. Okay, no worries. Like,
that's cool.
Hey, I love it. It's fabulous. Whatever it is, I love hearing from people. So that'd be great.
So I have to ask, are you related to the Nick Fury, Marvel?
Yes, illegitimate son. A lot of people don't know the story. Yeah. Him and Captain Marvel got together. A little bit of alcohol happened, and here I am. So
Yep. It's funny because I wonder if he's Australian. Mick, the name Mick. I'm like, no, he's not Australian. I don't think so.
Yeah. No, little Italian, little Irish, and
Yep.
Born right here in beautiful Syracuse, New York. So.
Yep. We probably came from the same boat somewhere.
Yeah. I think we're early 1900s. We came over to Ellis Island. So.
Yeah. No, the same thing. Because I have Irish.
Yep.
And I have all that stuff. I have Native American too.
Go. Oh, cool.
Little bit.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
That's cool. So before we go, okay, we don't want to give away everything, but what do you got coming down the pipe here?
Sure. So the biggest thing we're working on, I think I mentioned a little earlier, we just rented out a studio in Nashville for a day. My buddy Nate Felty and Max McKee and I, three of us, are going to record some new drums for like 7, 8, 9 new tunes, and then we're going to start producing them. So if people have happened to catch me performing live in the past year, either in person or on Facebook, which I do sometimes, it's a lot of the songs I've been playing, kind of working on, and yeah, I'm super excited. It's going to be a mix of, it's going to be rock, it's going to be Americana, it's going to have some hints of maybe some Muse in there, maybe some sort of, I don't know. It's going to be a crazy mix of tunes, but I've never been more stoked about some songs. I'm really, really pumped.
Sweet. Can you give us any names or anything? I don't know if you can.
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, no, I'm trying to think of the songs. I got a song called "The State of the Union," which is kind of along the lines of a Front Porch of America kind of tune, sort of folky,
I
sort
like
of Bruce
that title.
Springsteen
It's a
kind
good
of
title.
song. Yeah. We got a song called "Back to Human" that I wrote with my good buddy Adam. That's kind of in the Muse kind of vein. It's sort of electronic.
Okay.
A song called "Prayers" that has like a little bit of a Paul Simon vibe to it. So, yeah, I think if people have a wide taste in music, I'm going to be a good guy for them. If you're super focused on one type of music, you're probably going to hate me. But if you like diversity, I'm probably your guy. So.
There you go. Well, thanks for hanging out. We got Mick Fury here, New York State Music in Motion debut show. Thanks very much, man. It's been fun.
Peace, man.
All right, we'll have you back on sometime here. Season 2, 3. We'll keep going. All right.
Love it.
See you, folks. Rock on. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like and subscribe to all of our pages, NewYorkStateMusic.com. Stream and support.